Ready, set, go.
Alright, so first off, I'd like to comment on the other team's point that because the repercussions were bad, or the repercussions because of his leave were bad, it was just for them to fire him. But the fact was, they were being pressured to fire him while he was still working at the company, and after he was fired, people started boycotting the company. So the repercussions are bad no matter what they did. So I believe bringing out the repercussions is a moot point because of that fact. Also, they said that they were just doing it because of repercussions. But the fact is, the people pressuring them to fire him were being unethical because of discriminating against him because of his beliefs. And we don't believe it's ethical to punish one guy because other people are discriminating against him, which his company did by firing him.
One of the other things that you brought up was that Kant would have agreed that they should have fired him because of the repercussions that it happened. And that is more, I would say that was more a utilitarian standpoint, just because you're looking at the end action rather than the act in and of itself. And so when you're talking about Kant, you are firing someone based on their own beliefs, and as a means to an end to make your company look a little better. And that is not how Kant would handle the situation, I don't think, because you value each individual person as an end in and of themselves rather than a means to an end. And so the value of the employee is there regardless of the actions that they have done, whether before they were CEO or after they were CEO, or regardless of whether they were an employee of the company before, when they did the act, or whether they weren't. It doesn't matter. And that value is still there, and that honor is still there for the company.
We really enjoyed your point about how they have an accountability to their shareholders with contractarianism, that's where a vast majority of the contract lies, is that if the shareholders are losing money, then that's what they need to do. It is a business at the end of the day, and they need to earn their money. But we would also argue that, I think another argument could be made that if we can say, anything you do in your private life that doesn't hurt the business. And I think that's the big point, is I think you could argue, well, what about sexual abuse, you could say, or any of these things. But I think where it doesn't affect the company, I think that they have a right to protect their employees. I think we as a society view that, if you have a job, that there's job security that goes along with that, especially if you're someone as high up in a company as a CEO. And I don't think that you should be penalized for something you did before you were the CEO, especially the discrimination against the CEO was only because he became CEO. And I think if the company had a problem with it, they should have done something about it when the issue was made, not when he became CEO. And so it just looks like the only reason they fired him was because there were a few people here and there that decided that they didn't like his actions. And so we believe that contractarianism, the contract that he has with the board or the shareholders or whoever it might be, is stronger than any other contract, and that validating that actual contract is not morally permissible. So once again, we would just argue that, according to Kant, that you're using someone, in this case the CEO, as a means to an end. We would also argue that, according to the second categorical imperative, that we need to treat people with intrinsic value. And we would also argue that that he had a right to be employed by the company.
And while it is more you are hurting the company with your public image, I believe that had Mozilla stood behind their CEO, they would have gained more respect from other people because they had done that, and not necessarily because of what people thought of the action.
We see the rest of our time.